Long before he became a name carried across centuries, Adi Shankara was a child. Tradition places his birth in a small village called Kaladi, on the green banks of a river in what is now the southern Indian state of Kerala. The exact year is debated by scholars, but many accounts gather around the 8th century. What matters more than the date is the world into which he came. A land of temples and rice fields, of monsoon rains and quiet mornings, where the chanting of sacred verses was as ordinary as the sound of water. His parents, the stories tell us, were devout people who had longed for a child for many years. When at last a son was born, they felt their prayers had been answered, and they raised him with great tenderness. From the start, there was something unusual about the boy. He learned quickly, almost effortlessly, as if remembering rather than discovering. By the time other children were still struggling with their first letters, he had absorbed the songs and prayers of his tradition and was reaching toward questions far larger than his years. We should be careful here. The life of Shankara, like the lives of many great teachers, comes to us wrapped in legend. Miracles are reported, signs and wonders are described, and the line between history and devotion grows soft. This is not a reason to dismiss the stories. It is a reason to listen to them differently. The legends are not trying to give us a police record of dates and places. They are trying to tell us what kind of presence this man was, and what those who came after felt when they touched his teaching. A legend is a community's way of saying, here was something we could not measure. His father died when Shankara was very young, and so he was raised mostly by his mother. This early loss seems to have left a mark. The boy who would one day teach that the world we cling to is fleeting had learned, in his own small body, how quickly the solid things of life can slip away. There is a thread that runs from that childhood grief to the heart of his later vision. He did not arrive at the idea of impermanence in a library. He met it first as a son who lost his father. It is said that even as a boy he felt a pull toward the life of renunciation, the path of those who leave behind home and possessions to seek the truth directly. In the Indian tradition, this person is called a sannyasi, one who has set down the ordinary burdens in order to take up a single question. For most, this calling comes in later years, after a life has been lived. In Shankara it came early, and it came with a force that would not be denied. His mother understandably resisted. She had already lost her husband. The thought of losing her only son to the wandering life was almost unbearable. And so there is a famous story, tender and a little frightening, of how the young boy finally won her blessing. He was bathing in the river when a crocodile seized his leg and would not let go. Caught between the water and death, he called out to his mother that he would surely die unless she allowed him, in that very moment, to become a renunciate. Terrified for his life, she gave her consent. The crocodile released him. Whether we read this as a literal event or as a parable, its meaning is clear. The call to truth can feel like that, like something gripping you, refusing to release you until you say yes. He did not abandon her coldly. The accounts insist that he promised to return to her at the end of her life, and that he kept this promise, coming back to perform her final rites despite the customs that discouraged a renunciate from such duties. This detail is worth holding. It tells us that his renunciation was not a hardening of the heart. He let go of the world, yet he did not stop loving the people in it. The two could live together. So the boy left Kaladi. He walked away from the only home he had known, with little more than a question and a willingness to follow it wherever it led. He did not yet know that he would cross the whole of India on foot, that he would meet a teacher who would change everything, that he would write words still read more than 1,000 years later. He knew only that he could not stay. In all of this, we can already hear the shape of what is coming. Shankara's teaching would one day ask us to discriminate between what passes and what remains, between the changing surface of life and the still awareness beneath it. But notice that this was not first a doctrine for him. It was a lived movement. A child loses a father and feels the ground shift. A young seeker feels a pull stronger than comfort and walks away from home. The philosophy of the witness behind all things was born in someone who had first learned, in flesh and feeling, how much of what we hold cannot be held. The idea began as a life. In the next chapter, we will follow that young seeker on the road to the riverbank meeting that would turn a gifted boy into the teacher the world remembers.